What a weekend here at Road America. Radical Cup with the biggest grid of all the series here at the IndyCar weekend. 3 races in the books. The weather played a bit of a role in race 2, but luckily 3 races, lots of action from Radical Cup North America. In the end, Suelio Almeida taking a clean sweep in Pro 1340. What a weekend it was for him. Big shout out to Mayor Dionorine for a great run from him in 1500.
Why Radical? We build race cars. We race iconic tracks. We set lap records. We build friendships.
3, 4.
We create champions. We make racers.
Welcome back to Sonoma Raceway for the final race of the 2024 Radical Cup North America Series. We went through a couple of the highlights packages earlier today before the penultimate round. Of course, the season started at Sebring Raceway in Florida. Then it was off to Barber for the first of 4 rounds with IndyCar. We then went to Wisconsin for Road America. And after that, it was Laguna Seca, and then the streets of Toronto. We'll take you through a couple of those now. I'm out of breath. What an amazing weekend it's been here at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. A huge crowd and an amazing amount of action from the Radical Cup North America Series. Race 3 summed it up. Spectacular battles in Pro 1500 all weekend long. Somehow Evan Slater making it 3 for 3 with a final lap last corner pass here on Nick D'Orlando. Not the best weekend for Jordan Missing, but he still came away with plenty of points. We also saw Spencer Schmidt come away with a podium. Same too for young Roma. And then in the platinum class, John Field taking 2 wins before a big one, a big turnaround for Chip Roma coming home with his first victory of the year. Louis Schreiber on the podium, Greg Gorski as well. Lots of competition in the platinum class. And last but not least, an amazing battle all weekend long from the Pro 1340 drivers. Blake McGovern, a big moment for him, a breakthrough win. Suelio Almeida clawing back from disaster, mechanical gremlins with no practice on the podium. Chris McMurray, 2 wins for him. This has been a wild ride here at Laguna Seca, and we're next off to the concrete canyon of the streets of Toronto. Join us next time for the Radical Cup North America. It's going to be interesting. And as we mentioned, we might have to skip the final of the 2 there. Toronto was a big weekend because as you can see, the cars are already out on circuit here and coming around to start forming up. We'll just wait and see if we expect to see 1 pace lap, I believe. We'll just try and check in with race control on that. But the big news from this morning is that John Field, by starting this race, which he looks set to do, will be the champion in the Platinum class. And congratulations to John Field, backing up last year's performance. Does look like they're going side by side, so we'll just take you through a couple of the highlights. Starting from row 8, it's Chris McMurray alongside Suelio Almeida. Of course, they are vying for that Pro 1340 championship. Anders Fjordbach was fastest in that class and took the pole. It's Nick D'Orlando on the pole in Pro 1500. He starts out of position 5th on the grid alongside Evan Slater. Jordan Missig extended his points lead. And as we go green for the final time here in 2024, it's John Field who's racing hard with Mackay Stevens as they head up the hill for the first time. And Stevens has brake later than most. We've got a spin further back though, and someone's gone round. There's plenty of dust and dirt, but it does look like most have got through the mix. So we'll try and pick up the order, because that certainly changed things. You can see Chris McMurray jostling for position there. I think that might have been Anders Fjordbach who was turned around, but we'll wait and see. And as you can see, the 22, as it has often been, out in front from the opening tour, and that's Mackay Stevens. But John Field's looking racier than ever. He said that he would give it a red-hot go now that the championship is locked and loaded. And it looks like a great start for Spencer Schmidt as they come down through the high-speed section of Sonoma Raceway. Down the hill they go. And it is indeed Mackay Stevens, John Field. Then it looks like Steve Jenks behind him. Louis Schreiber, then Steve Jenks. And Evan Slater has found himself in the lead of Pro 1500. Matt Roma is second. Jordan Missig's been relegated to third. That's okay at the moment, because the man with the closest amount of points to him is Nick D'Orlando, and he has dropped further back. Just trying to pick up the leaders in Pro 1340. That's possibly the biggest battle out there right now in terms of championships. And crucially, Suelio Almeida ahead of car 2. But it looked to me like Chris McMurray had a little bit of a run on Almeida as they went into turn 1. And it wasn't Anders Fjordbach who was involved in that early spin. He sits in 10th, so it was another red car somewhere that was doing burnouts and pirouettes. But as you can see, John Field looking racy. He was looking pretty racy this morning. And is certainly closing the gap once again on Mackay Stevens. We'll see if Mackay can get the break that he did in this morning's race, and indeed yesterday's. Steve Jenks looking strong as well behind Louis Schreiber. Evan Slater looking for his 4th race win of the season. And important one for Slater. He's vying for not only second in the Pro 1500 Championship, but also for the rookie honours. And Slater is running with a vengeance. He's right up behind Steve Jenks. And into the hairpin they go. Wow, John Field, there was definitely contact there. John Field racing hard against Mackay Stevens. And Stevens not giving an inch, but John Field not either. Of course, this race will feature a mandatory pit stop. 15 minutes into the race, we expect to see the pit window open. So a different dynamic for this one. Suelio Almeida is still ahead of Chris McMurray, right behind the 30 and the pole man of Anders Fjordbach. We saw a little bit of team interplay, if you will, in this morning's race. But so far, Fjordbach not interfering with the championship battle behind him. Just looks to me like the 22's just got a little edge now on John Field, and as they've been duking it out, Louis Schreiber's starting to come into the fray, sitting 3rd on the racetrack. Evan Slater is just behind that train of cars. So Steve Jenks is in the thick of things too. And then Evan Slater leads Pro 1500 from Matt Roma, Jordan Missig. And Missig is reeling in Roma. A little bit further back as we watch the front runners, and there they are going into that chicane. Line astern, and you can see Missig is now ahead of the number 6. So Missig up to second place. Meanwhile, there has been a change of the lead, and these guys are getting very racy. John Field with the hip and shoulder, and he's through. On Mackay Stevens, Field takes the lead. Mackay Stevens relegated to 4th. So Steve Jenks has capitalised. So too Louis Schreiber. Schreiber up to second place. And now Stevens will have to try and get back to the lead. John Field wants to celebrate his championship in style. And Jenks is holding down third place as Chris McMurray has a look on Suelio Almeida into turn 3. So it's on for young and old in Pro 1340. Suelio Almeida has a small points lead. Something in the order of 7 points. So he can afford to be one position back from Chris McMurray. Is the simple way of dealing with this. Regardless of that, whether Chris is first or second, Suelio just needs to at least be behind him. If for some reason another car was in between them, that's when it would be problematic in terms of the points. So Louis Schreiber tries to hunt down a hard-charging John Field. Mackay Stevens is trying to recover. He's got a very, very quick Evan Slater behind him, who seems to be leaving nothing on the table in this final race of the championship. Jordan Missig is calmly in second place. With that, he would be champion. So very, very important for Missig just to collect the points. He started the race. That was certainly a huge milestone as Wayne Williams goes for a big dive down the inside into the final hairpin. And he's in the thick of that Pro 1340 battle. We'll try and keep you posted as we watch some of the other battles here on screen. And Suelio Almeida is still ahead of car 2. Anders Fjordbach has got the Wayne Williams machine all over the back of him as well. As we keep following this battle between... there we go. So there is Chris McMurray just behind car 5, and that is Chip Roma. So for the first time this weekend, we're seeing the Platinum class cars really have an impact on Pro 1340 as they try and carve their way through. And Chip Roma now side by side with Suelio Almeida. So this could give Suelio Almeida an opportunity, perhaps to claw back onto the back of car 30. And indeed he does. Look at that. Look how close they are. Car 30 and Chris McMurray's trying to go around the outside. There's a touch. Chris McMurray's bumped and he's through. So McMurray now is ahead of Suelio Almeida. We'll see how quickly he can catch his teammate who runs wide a little bit. So this is not what Almeida needs. For the championship, he needs to remain in touch with car 2. And as they come out into that final hairpin, he's going to probably have a look because McMurray is getting passed to the inside by one of the Platinum class cars, and that's Clint Field. Suelio Almeida is now tucked up right behind the gearbox of car 2 as they head down the straight and through the kink. I thought Almeida might try and follow Clint Field through on the inside, but it wasn't to be. Oh, and Almeida's now got boxed in, has he? And everyone is vying for position at the moment. So yes, Almeida's been boxed in by Anders Fjordbach. And that's touched, and they've touched again. And certainly Almeida is not giving an inch. He knows the championship battle's on the line. You can see that Anders Fjordbach has slowed down a little bit. I think there's definitely some team orders at play, because now Matt McMurray has got past the youngster from Brazil, and they're side by side. Suelio Almeida's got to be careful here. He's just got to remain calm. The race is a long one. 30 minutes remain. The pit stops will be crucial. He can afford to give up a little bit right now and clear himself from the pit stops. In fact, I wonder whether Graham Rahal Performance will try and do an undercut. Get that driver out into clear air. We'll wait and see. It's about 4 minutes from the pit window opening. And so far, racing remains green. A great battle out there between Ron Fletcher and Mike Anzaldi through the chicane. Down into the hairpin, you could see Suelio Almeida, last of the late breakers, trying to make a move. On. And he's waving his hand. He's saying race control. Look ahead. Look what's happening. The 31 and the 30 seem to be holding me up. There's no doubt about that. The gap now to Chris McMurray has certainly extended. But to win a championship, you've got to win races. And to win races, you've got to beat anyone that's out there. Suelio Almeida has some work to do. So Chris McMurray leads that pack of cars. There's Anders Fjordbach. Then Matt McMurray. First, second and third for Crown Concepts. And then it's Suelio Almeida, the young gun with so much talent behind the sim. Has turned it into an exceptional season here in the Radical Cup North America Series. Meanwhile, the battle rages at the front of the field. And that's Louis Schreiber with 68 of Steve Jenks. That's almost side by side, heading through that very, very significant kink in the front straight here at Sonoma. And Steve Jenks looking very racy. He's had 2 third places to his name here this weekend. He desperately wants it to be another. Now, this is interesting. I think there's 2 team battles going on. If you look back here, Nick D'Orlando has slowed, and I think he is also part of this battle for Pro 1340. Graham Rahal Performance, I think, has said, well, if Crown Concepts, you're going to play this game, we're going to play it as well. And Car 15 is starting to become a part of this battle. Now, who knows whether there has actually been team orders. Perhaps D'Orlando's decided he can't beat Missig in this one and has decided to act as it'll be a front gunner because he's ahead of this Pro 1340 battle, but it could be a lot of team orders and interplay that decide this hot Pro 1340 battle that's unfolding here this weekend. I mean, it's been all season long. And into that centre chicane they go again. Louis Schreiber still ahead of Steve Jenks, but Jenks has got a fantastic run out of the chicane. He couldn't do anything through the last part, and I don't think that's going to be enough for Jenks to have a look down the inside. He still goes for it, though. Schreiber closes the door at the final moment, and that's going to allow Evan Slater to get back on the gearbox. So further back, there's also a great battle between Clint Field and Wayne Williams. They're going down into that final hairpin. D'Orlando seems to have picked up the pace a little bit. So Orlando's out of that fight. And it's just back to Crown Concepts ×3 versus young Suelio Almeida. Almeida's started to knuckle down again. It looks like being rattled and being passed by a few cars. He's finally just settled into the groove. And speaking of being in a groove, Jordan Missig's right on the back of Evan Slater's gearbox as well. So Jordan Missig rather, has done everything he's needed to do this weekend. It wasn't quite the qualifying performance, but he came back in a vengeance in race 1, took the win again in race 2. The championship looks set for him to take. He's got to be so careful around the 35, around the other class cars. Whilst he'd desperately love another race win, he can't afford to have a DNF. And Missig goes to the inside. Slater covers a little bit. The pair are side by side as they round the final corner. Missig gives them plenty of room. Nice driving from the young guns in Pro 1500, and that's a change for the lead. So Jordan Missig is ahead, running 4th on the racetrack and 1st in class. Like John Field, I think Missig wants to finish the year in the best way possible with a win. Side by side further back, the 28 and 21 of Jack Yang, and that's Corey Nouveau. A bit of hip and shoulder on the front straightaway, and that's for gold class honours. So we're expecting the pit window to open. But at the moment, the racing continues. No one into pit lane just yet. Jordan Missig hunting down the faster, more powerful SR10 machines, and that someone has made a mistake. I think that was Louis Schreiber. Now Louis Schreiber's certainly got an advantage by cutting through the chicane. I'm sure race control is going to take a look at that one. There are a number of cars coming through the pit, so Anders Fordbach was one of the early ones. Ben Bland has been through, so too the 61 of Mike Anzaldi. So the order is going to be a little mixed up for a couple of laps as we cycle through the pit stops. Swelio Almeida is back ahead of Chris McMurray. Would you believe that? So without his teammate, Swelio Almeida has been released to fight McMurray. And he's ahead. Spencer Schmidt is just coming into the box now. So he makes his stop. A relatively quick one here at Sonoma, given the length of the pit lane. And the 35 of Evan Slater peels out. Greg Gorski's in, gesturing to the mechanics, so there's something wrong with the back of the 24 machine. They're certainly having a look at some body work. And Missig's getting held up now, I fear, from Louis Schreiber. Graham Rahal Performance will have to be a little bit careful, because Schreiber and Missig are diving down on the 91 of Kenny Nail, and that is Graham Rahal Performance driver as well. But you can see there the pace around the corners for the Pro 1500. That car just beautiful in terms of its setup, and now a lot more drivers coming into the pit lane. Very long pit lane, easy to get held up. It's going to be so important. We saw that last year at Laguna Seca, the championship really coming down to the pit stops, and great work by Cameron Racing, Radical Northwest, to ensure their driver came out in front. And that was the difference. A championship won and lost basically in the pit lane. So there's a fair bit of pressure on these teams just to keep their drivers calm. They can, of course, work on the car, but this is a competition pit stop, nothing more. And really gives the drivers an opportunity to practice their craft, practice the patience. of hitting their marks, knowing what to do in these scenarios, and of course a little bit of tactics as well, preparing these drivers for the next step. And speaking of the next step, it's Jordan Missig who's hoping to make a big move next year. He's trying to put together a drive in Indy Next. He's had a couple of drives so far this season. Very impressive given his lack of testing. Chris McMurray's in. Chris McMurray looks to be going a little slow down pit lane. Suelio Almeida has come out behind McMurray in car 2. And the 22 of Mackay Stevens is in that mix as well. So Matt Roma leads this motor race at the moment. We'll see how this unfolds. We're watching John Field, who is leading this race. And he's got a little bit of traffic and not at a good time. Mackay Stevens just left the pit lane. John Field, meanwhile, is working his way through traffic, trying to be sensible, calm and collected. American Le Mans Series champion John Field knows what to do, and he's into pit lane. No, he continues. It was another car back as Clint Field now is into the box. So could Matt Roma leapfrog everyone in Pro 1500? That's the question. John Field is back in front of the Platinum class. Jordan Missig may have been relegated to second. Matt Roma has not pitted yet. Suelio Almeida is currently by, well, he's by himself. He's behind Chris McMurray. But Anders Fordbach is very, very close. And Anders Fordbach is trying to pass the number 3 of Suelio Almeida. As we mentioned, effectively, Almeida needs to stay behind Chris McMurray. He doesn't need to necessarily win that battle or even beat him on track, but he can't afford to be more than one position back. "17 minutes remaining on the clock. Dare I say, a couple of drivers still to do a couple of pit stops. Evan Slater looked all out of shape coming out of the final turn there. There's the battle for 1340. Chris McMurray is at the top of the screen. Suelio Almeida behind him. Then it's Anders Fjordbach. Matt McMurray is leading the race at the moment. Suelio Almeida needs to stay in front of the 31. Of the 30 rather. There's no doubt about that. Anders Fordbach has a fantastic run on Suelio Almeida. Almeida will have to defend this. He's going to go to the inside surely. Anders Fordbach will try to go around the outside. It's not going to work around the hairpin. Almeida has learnt plenty of racecraft in the virtual world now. It's time to put all that into practice in the real world. This is not just for track position, this is for a championship. And the car 3 of Suelio Almeida continues to remain in front. You can see another car closing in on that battle. Obviously a 1500. So traffic is going to play a role as well. In fact, it's not. It's Mac McMurray who's closing in. So Crown Concepts is behind Almeida and in front. Chris McMurray is just a little bit further up the road. So Suelio Almeida, the pressure must be immense underneath that black helmet. Chris McMurray leads. Pro 1340. Suelio Almeida 6th second. There were 7 points heading into this race. Almeida would win by 5 points if things remain the same. It's going to be a long, long 15 minutes for the kid from Brazil. A kid that grew up playing piano. In fact, he was a concert pianist. He said it's wonderful in terms of his just hand-eye coordination, being precise, having the mental strength to be very, very precise. And right now he's going to need everything because Anders Fjordbach has closed in yet again on the number 3. Anders Fjordbach, a driver that's got WeatherTech experience, European Le Mans experience, up against a sim racer. And I don't say that disparagingly either. Suelio Almeida is a master at his craft, but he's been learning the ropes in terms of the real world. And now a little bit of a reprieve as the 30 of Anders Fjordbach has fallen back. It seems like now it's time for another attack, and this time it's going to be from Matt McMurray. So Almeida just with a bit of breathing space at the moment, but you could see car 31 starting to close in. Fjordbach couldn't do the job. What can McMurray do? A father and son racing together. And Matt McMurray knows how to wheel a motor car. Chris McMurray just looks like he's falling into the clutches of all 3. 13 minutes remain. John Fields still the leader overall. Steve Jenks is in 2nd place. Chip Romer's up to 3rd in the Platinum class. Jordan Messig finds himself 2nd behind Evan Slater. Matt Romer's had a good round in the pit stops. He's up to 5th. Matt Romer's up to 3rd. Spencer Schmidt is up to 4th. 6th overall. But all eyes are on car 3. A lone wolf Graham Rahal performance in the middle of the hardest sandwich you'll ever be in the middle of. Crown Concepts drivers and a father and son duo. Matt McMurray, you can see how much he's pushing the back of Suelio Almeida through the chicane. Fjordbach's also in there too. Chris McMurray's doing everything he can do, possibly to win this championship. He leads the class. On the podium, after race 1, Suelio Almeida said, "I'm racing 3 guys." Now there's a yellow flag down into turn 1. So that gives Almeida a little bit of reprieve. But what could be going through this kid's head? Of course, on the sim, practice makes perfect, and we see it everywhere. Simulator drivers come into the real world, and their precision, the ability to soak up pressure is tremendous. McMurray has gone through pit lane. So what's this? A penalty for McMurray. That could change everything. Almeida. Almeida could be in the box seat. They pass. A slower Wayne Williams. He's done the right thing, if you like. Got out of this battle for 1340. Again, a defensive line from car 3. It's beautiful to watch. Suelio Almeida, someone that's hardly been in a motor car, now has all of the pressure from 2 great drivers behind him, superstars of their own right. Suelio Almeida, if he can pull this off, is going to be an absolute superstar of the future. And side by side again they go. Almeida's to the inside. McMurray's right there. There's been another touch, but Almeida's got the elbows out. He's learnt from Chris McMurray. He's learnt from Matt's dad. He knows what to do. He knows where to place that Pro 1340. A radical's never been wider around Sonoma Raceway. And I think that's the biggest difference that Almeida's noticed between the sim world and the real world, is that there's just a little bit more of an opportunity to have a slight bit of contact and get away with it in the real world. And you could see that was fair. There was nothing wrong with just making sure that Matt McMurray knew he wasn't going to be intimidated. Field leads from Steve Jenks. Jordan Messick still leads Pro 1500. Oh, McMurray's had a big moment. He said, go through. McMurray's let his teammate through. He says, no, I've lost it. He almost gave a bit of a hang 10 symbol a signal out of the cockpit. Suelio Almeida finally will be sighing some relief just for a moment before undoubtedly another attack by a Crown Concepts driver. Jordan Messick has found himself back in front in Pro 1500. Wayne Williams is slowing on the circuit. Some issue for Wayne Williams, but he continues to go. Under 8 minutes remain. The front runners are carving their way up through the field. Jordan Messick dives down the inside through the chicane. And Messick, with Slater just behind, is trying to get in front of Steve Jenks. Well, if there's one thing to know about Suelio Almeida, he's outclassed an LMP2 driver, an LMDH driver, a Le Mans driver, a European Le Mans Series racer in Anders Fjordbach, and there's 7 minutes that remain. Right, after catching my breath, let's take you to the end. 6.5 minutes remain. They're side by side again. Fjordbach goes for a move. It's hard to make a move, stick around the outside of that hairpin here at Sonoma Raceway. It's just a wall. It's remarkable, really. This circuit that's out in the middle of a field all of a sudden goes to almost a street circuit landscape. And Almeida was so good in Toronto. Almeida is just absorbing all the pressure. Anders Fjordbach is a FIA World Endurance Championship driver. the Dane knows how to steer a car. He was instantly quick in these 1340 Radical machines. So too with Matt McMurray. In fact, Chris was commenting earlier in the weekend, he was so impressed. His son's knowledge, his son's ability to tell the engineers what to do. You could see Almeida fighting the wheel of car 3's, driving the absolute tyres off this thing. The Hankook rubber on car 3 is no doubt squealing at the moment, given the amount of pressure that is being applied by the right foot of a young Swelio Almeida, who again has to defend a little bit. Can come back out, just take a slightly wider line into that final hairpin. You can see Anders Fjordbach gets a great run. He was up on the curb. Use the momentum. And again, Fjordbach with a run. It was always going to be interesting to see what would happen as this weekend unfolded. Certainly in the practice sessions, it just appeared that the Crown Concept cars had a little edge over the Graham Rahal performance car. It just seemed as though Chris McMurray was feeling comfortable with his teammates alongside him. But Swelio kept his head down. And he's risen to the occasion. And he continues to rise. He has not put a foot wrong in this race. Neither has John Field. John Field continues to lead from Steve Jenks. It's Jordan Missig who is looking set to take his Pro 1500 championship. Evan Slater sitting pretty in second, and again Fjordbach tries around the outside. He'll try the up and over, but it's so hard to get a run out of that final corner. Almeida just is managing to place this car beautifully. You can see him just flow the car from one side to the other, making it difficult for Fjordbach to gain any momentum and have a run on him. John Field centered on the inside of the kink into turn one. He's carving his way through up the field. Chris McMurray is still circulating, but he's fifth in class. Mike Anzaldi is fourth in Pro 1340 at the moment. Oh, and Fjordbach's found the moment he needed to go through. Fjordbach is through, so is Matt McMurray. McMurray is now dicing with Fjordbach. So Swelio Almeida, that finally he couldn't sustain the pressure, but I don't think it matters. Swelio Almeida is sitting third. His championship rival sits in fifth rather. Chris McMurray would have to gain a fair bit of track position. Now, what will the pace out front be? 1 minute 20 remain. Fjordbach can't really afford to hold up anyone. It's just not going to be possible. He's going for the race win. So too Matt McMurray. But 7 points clear. Swelio Almeida going into this one. If he stays in front of Chris McMurray, that's all he has to do. The white flag is out. It's been an absolutely stellar drive from the young gun the sim racer turned real world superstar, Suelio Almeida. And speaking of superstars, John Field circulates for the final time this year. John Field, who has an American Le Mans Series championship to his name. He already has a Platinum Class Radical Cup championship to his name as well. He's going for back-to-back titles this year, and the 37 is coming to the flag. John Field goes around the top of the circuit for the very last time. You could see he was racing with a little more purpose today, knowing that the championship was all tied up. Pretty smart racer is Mr. John Field. He attacks aggressively when he needs to. He's cool, calm and collected otherwise. And that's what it takes to win championships. The 37 has one more corner to navigate here at Sonoma Raceway. The white flag is going to be replaced with the checker flag, and it is indeed. John Field will come down to take the win and the championship in the Platinum Class for One Motorsports. Further back, we're waiting to see if Jordan Messick does indeed finish off his stellar season. And it is another win for Jordan Messick, who clenches the fist and pumps it in the air. He takes his championship with a win in Pro 1500, and I think with that he's clinched the outright championship for the series as well. Trying to pick up the 1340 leaders. And I've actually lost myself around the racetrack at the moment, just trying to pick up where that battle is. There they are, going in to the hip or to the chicane for the final time. So Fjordbach is ahead of Matt McMurray, and there's a back marker in the way. Will Matt McMurray have a lunge on his teammate? The final time, he's just gone out of shot. Running third in class is Suelio Almeida. And there is Anders Fjordbach, who put it on pole. In fact, he's been extremely quick this weekend. He takes a win. And Suelio Almeida pumps the air. He has taken provisionally the championship in Pro 1340. So there was a little bit of contact. There was a few things, no doubt, to look into after this one. But Suelio Almeida has done what he needed to do. He somehow soaked up all the pressure that was applied from multiple Crown Concepts cars. First it was Anders Fjordbach, then it was Matt McMurray. McMurray finally just managed to find a chink in the armour, but unbelievably, with all that pressure, Suelio Almeida did what he needed to do. Congratulations to Graham Rahal Performance. That's 2 championship wins for him. And I believe that Corey Nouveau has passed Jack Yang, but that's going to be very, very close as well in the gold class. So looking forward to celebrating everyone's success this evening at the banquet. It's here at turn 11. And starting quite quickly, actually. It's 6 o'clock, I believe. So that wraps up the final race of the 2024 Radical Cup North America Series. Thank you to USAC, our other partners, Sunoco, Hankook, Motul and HRX, and of course McDonald's. I tell you what, I've been loving it all year long. This has been a wonderful season. The best yet of the Radical Cup North America Series. It's time to go down to the podium and celebrate with some champagne. There's no doubt going to be plenty of cheers down there. We've got a big year planned next year, and we look forward to bringing you all the action yet again from the Radical Cup North America Series. we'll head down onto the podium, and we'll see you there. a day of action it has been. And we'll start with a big one. Pro 1340. Well, this man might only be on the third step of the podium today, but he has just been declared a champion. Congratulations, Suelio Almeida. Now, Suelio, you've got a lot of fans, hopefully still watching the live stream out there. I just said to you before, that pressure was unbelievable. 2 WEC drivers behind you. You soaked everything up when you needed to. In the end, it didn't really matter because you're ahead of your main championship contender.
Yeah, no, I think the conditions of this race extracted the best of Suelio Almeida today. I'm generally a very cautious driver in real life. It's been only 2 years since I transitioned from sim, and I know that like real life drivers have this mentality of really pushing a lot, and I'm always under the limit a little bit. Having 2 WEC drivers behind me kind of fixed that. So like I never saw, I've never seen so much red in my eyes, like just driving like a madman. And the lap time came, and I realized that my technique allowed me to be that aggressive, and the lap time came. I did like my best lap time in the whole weekend on the very hot track in low conditions. So yeah, thank Matt and Anders for pushing the best out of me today. And yeah, I can say now that I'm a radical champion.
Congratulations. Well, we'll bring up P2 and P1 because it was a hell of a fight out there, I tell you. Congratulations, home second. I think he threw up an arm at some point and said, I've done all I can. Anders, you have a go, but congratulations. Matt McMurray taking second. And taking the win, congratulations to Anders Fjordbach. A win in the Radical Cup to add to plenty of wins and success in other series. You can see the caliber of drivers up here on the podium just from their suits. And ladies and gentlemen, it's time to give these guys a big round of applause, particularly our champion. All right, it's time to get the champagne in. And I tell you what, if there's 2 guys that know how to spray some champagne and celebrate a champion, I'm pretty sure it's the guys that are first and second on the podium. Congratulations, Anders Fjordbach, Matt McMurray, but Suelio Almeida taking the championship and a well-deserved swig of Californian champagne. We will move on to 1500. And in third place, he's done it again. Congratulations. Another wonderful podium. What an end to this season. Matt Roma for One Motorsports. And Matt, just quickly, we haven't talked too much, so I should have got on top here. I feel rather short. Matt, what an amazing year you've had, but being introduced to Radicals, the championship, racing with your dad, what's it been like?
It's been amazing. It's awesome sport, awesome group we're running with. The Radical Cup is just absolutely amazing. All you guys have put it on are just spectacular. The hospitality you guys put on, One Motorsports crew, putting the cars together, it's just been amazing year, amazing competition. It's been the best competition I've had in my whole life, and it's eye-opening. It's just amazing.
Well, I'm totally convinced that if you get yourself to the podium in the Radical Cup North America Series, you've earned it, you've deserved it, and you have today. Congratulations. In second place, another man that has found the podium plenty of times this season. What a year it's been for Evan Slater. Congratulations, home second. and taking a win. It is a championship winning drive for this young man. He's trying to make the step up into Indy Next. This year he's put a championship on the resume and a win, another win here at Sonoma. Congratulations, Jordan Missig! Now, Jordan, you started your racing in radicals. You certainly cut your teeth. You learnt the craft. You've gone off to apply it in open wheelers. You're back and you're champion.
Yeah, it feels amazing. First off, Rio Performance crew, amazing job all season long. You guys are the best out here, so huge credit to you guys. Big thanks to Evan, Nick, Matt, and Spencer Schmidt for what a great season. Those guys are fierce competitors and made this season fun all the way to the end, you know, from beginning at Sebring all the way to here in Sonoma. So thank you guys for being such good competitors throughout the whole year, and thanks Radical for such an awesome car. I had to go through 2 cars in one season this year so to get the championship, so thanks for both, I guess.
Well, congratulations, and congratulations for overcoming what was a pretty adverse weekend. You've got the broom up there, a clean sweep. But also, before we celebrate with some champagne, we want to bring up our gold class winner. What an outstanding this weekend for this young man as well. Congratulations, Corey Nouveau. And Corey, I will have a couple of words with you as well, mate, because home track, you're in front of friends and family. What does it mean to be racing at this level with all this around you, the action, and just the support of loved ones from the paddock?
It's been amazing. This is my first year doing Radical. Wanted to do it for a while. We finally got it going this year, and it's been more fun than I could have even imagined. And to close it off here with a win for Cameron Motorsports at their home track is a dream.
Well, congratulations. I'll get out the way. We'll get those trophies at chest height and then nice and high. Ladies and gentlemen, give these guys a round of applause. Jordan Missig, our champion in Pro 1500. I'm going to get this out the way. We'll get the champagne in. Let's celebrate.